introduce themselves and give their name, their age, where they're currently located, and then we have a discussion question. And the question is always based off of what our guest presenter will be talking about. And so today I asked the kids to think about how they overcome the obstacles in their lives. And that could be just daily challenges. I was just saying, no day is ever perfect. There's always those little or big problems that we have to face and figure out how we're going to deal with them and make the best of it. So my question to the kids today is, how do you deal with problems, challenges, or obstacles? And I always say there's no wrong answers. No two answers are ever truly the same. Everyone's answer is unique. So that's going to give you the chance to get to know your audience a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's not everything works for the same person.
That's so true.
Yes.
That's so true. But do you know, I think by us hearing each other's responses may even give some of us different ideas of ways that we can cope and overcome challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your answers, kids, today could be inspiring other people here. Okay. So let's really practice that public speaking. Let's really share of ourselves, because you never know whose life you're going to touch. Okay. Even within the next 45 minutes. So remember that. Okay. So the first thing
I'd actually ask the every person to put the speaker's view instead of the speaker's view, so that when someone is speaking, they can see the speaker, like instead of seeing 100 people on the screen.
Yeah.
So if you guys are able to do that,
definitely.
Hmm?
So the first thing we like to do before we get started with our introductions is we do a little dance or a warm up, just as a way for us to get out of our chairs. Some of us have already had a long day, depending on where we are in the world. Some of us are just waking up. So David always plays an awesome song for us, which we don't own the rights to the music, but this is our chance to kind of get up and get the blood flowing. So David, if you're ready.
Okay.
Everybody get up and move.
Oh, good song.
Izzy, are you dancing?
I see people just sitting. They gotta get up. They gotta stand up.
Yeah, come on, everybody, get a stand up and let's show us your moves.
Oh, I see Noni moving. Yeah.
Alex is just moving his head.
Oh, okay.
Everybody hides their face when they're dancing. David, I think it's just me and you and Rebecca that are dancing. maybe they feel that the founders should be the ones dancing.
I love this song.
All right.
Thank you, David. That was awesome.
Thanks, David. Is that Seal? That's Seal,
Yes,
isn't it?
it's
Oh my
sealed.
gosh, he's one of my favorite singers of all time.
I know.
Wow.
Yes, I
added
love
him to
him.
my, I just added him to my list the other day.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome music. Thank you for that, David. You always
You're
play
welcome.
us. You play us such an interesting selections of songs every week. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
he
for that.
does.
You're welcome.
All right,
Does
everybody.
his research.
So I think
The
we'll have
research I
people
did
kind
1
of
minute
joining
before the
us.
video.
We
I
may
thought-
have more people joining us as we begin, but I just wanted to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody here at Voice of Our Child. I'm Rebecca West Hensinger, your moderator. I always say Saturday mornings here where I am are my favorite day of the week. It's when we all get the chance to connect, to inspire one another, and to hear super impactful stories from our esteemed guest presenters. And today is certainly true for today with our amazing presenter, Justin Bryan. I can't wait to hear his story. First of all, we're going to let Justin have the chance to get to know all of you. So as always, it's name, age, where you're from, and an answer to the question, which today is, how do you overcome the obstacles or challenges or problems that you face in your life? Okay, and first I would like to call upon and introduce to you the reason why all of us are here week after week. It is because of our founder and CEO, Dr. Caroline Verkuyk. She is a mentor, she is an author, she's a coach. I always say she has a million ideas, and today I'll say she has 1,000,001 because it's a new day, and every day I think she has a new idea. And luckily, all of us here get to take a front row seat to all of these new ideas. She has a heart of gold. She's probably the kindest person I've ever met. And every person she meets, she just wants them to feel welcome and heard and invited. Everyone, Dr. Caroline Verkuyk.
Oh my God, Rebecca, that was too kind. But thank you so much for that. And before I even introduce myself, Rebecca is our moderator and our director, but sometimes we forget to introduce you to who she really is. And so most of you just know her as Rebecca, the director, the moderator, the fun lady who always has something good to say after everybody introduces themselves. But Rebecca is the current Mrs. Denmark World, and she'll be competing for the title of the Mrs. World. So always pray for her, root out for her, and I think that she's doing really great work with her opioids prevention. She was one of the presenters here, and she talked to all these kids about drugs and how to say no and all those things. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's also really a sweet, kind person. Whatever she thinks of me is what I think of her. It's like we're soulmates. It's like we found each other. She's a global youth ambassador for the recovery and a recovery advocate. And what she does is that she'll go, oh, sorry, my video just went out. So what Rebecca does is that she'll go to organizations or schools or colleges or just any gathering to talk about the dangers of the opiates, how our kids are being lured into drugs and how they can do you wrong. So I'm more than proud to have her here as our director. She's the one who does the graphic. She gets in touch with our guests and she does all the back and forth. All I have to do is just send her the name and I'm done. So I couldn't do most of this without her. So every morning when she's here, I feel safe and I get excited about it. So my name, as you all know, is Caroline Verkuyk, the founder of the Voice of Our Child and Water Gap Africa Safaris. I founded the Voice of Our Child because I believe that when kids are given life skills, we can reduce the rate of depression and suicide. I personally believe that depression and suicide are the end result of problems that have gone unsolved. Like either you're bullied at school, maybe you lost your job, maybe you're being lured into drugs or things like that. If all those things go unaddressed, if we don't talk to our children and give them the life skills that they need, definitely when they face them, they'll feel they're alone. They'll feel that nobody else has ever gone through what they're going through, and there's no answer. And part of the way that we do our mentorship is that we take teens, doesn't matter whether they're troubled or not, but just teenagers who are willing, and we have them write a letter saying why they think they should be picked to go on a 2-week humanitarian trip to Kenya. We believe by these kids helping others, they're definitely helping themselves. And I started this in 2016 when we found out that our oldest daughter really struggled with depression. We didn't even know what it was. We just interpreted it like, oh, this is a teenage thing. This is what teens do. And I had not had the experience of another teenager. This was my first child. So I didn't know how they can all be different. Now with my 4, I can see how they can all totally be different. And until she found out help when she went to college, but it was almost too late for her and for us. But thank God that she's still here. But how many parents out there don't get that chance to hug their child again? So it's something very dear to my heart. I became a mother and a wife on a mission to make sure that no other child suffers without knowing exactly what they're suffering about. And that's why I'm so excited about our guest today. I'm always really excited with every guest, but when we have a guest who's really talking about the mental health, it really is such a great welcome, because I'm sure they always say like 1 in 5 people is suffering from depression. So maybe half of us here have struggled with depression. And so it's really such a great welcome to have Justin here. And I can't wait later after you all introduce yourselves to hear him talk. The question of the day, which I always forget to answer, and Rebecca never lets me get away with it, is how do you handle problems or issues? I think I pray, because I'm more of a person who's private, kind of like I don't like discussing issues that I'm going through. And so, yeah, I just pray about it. And I just have so much faith that when I pray, like my problems get solved. And thank God I haven't really encountered so many of them, but I just really totally believe in the power of prayer.
Well said, Dr. Caroline. I agree with you. Of course I do, because we're, as you said, we're kind of soulmates. We think alike a lot of the time, but yeah, I agree. I think what I do when I encounter challenges or problems or things that make me feel kind of nervous is I always try to remember that I just need to take time, and time can solve and heal a lot of things. So if I'm if I'm starting to get upset with my son, Wesley, who's upstairs listening to this presentation. Hi, Wesley, I know you hear me. Because, all of us parents now are homeschool teachers. And if we're ever getting to a point where things are kind of anxious, or we're not getting along, or we're just plain fighting, right? Because that happens. I just remember to take that time. And the way that I do that is by just walking away for a couple minutes, walking away, taking a few deep breaths, clearing my head, and then coming back, feeling a little bit more renewed and calm to try to handle the situation. I never walk away and forget about a problem. I walk away, take a few moments, give myself a break, don't be so hard on myself. And then I come back when I'm feeling a little more calm. So to me, I handle obstacles by remembering how precious time is. So let's hear what our awesome co-founder, DJ, and president, Mr. David Verkuyk. I like your hair today, David.
Well, thank you.
Today and every day.
I'm going to get it cut today, I think. It's
So we heard from our incredible founder. Let's hear from our co-founder now.
Okay. Hi, I'm David Verkuyk. I'm lucky to be married to Dr. Caroline Verkuyk, and very happily married. She's a sweetheart, as you can all see. And of course, I'm the DJ, which I'm very proud of. I feel like, I'm, at a party or something, and I could be the DJ. So anyway, my question, or the question of the day, how I handle, I'd like to say how I've handled and how I've tried to change how I've handled. So how I have handled things that are stressful in my life is getting all freaked out and sweating and getting upset and sometimes taking out that anger or frustration on somebody else. A lot of times it's people that I love that are close to me because I feel like maybe they will love me anyway. I don't know why. And at times I would escape by going in my room and falling asleep and pretending that I'm sick or something so that I could sleep all day long. Sometimes I'll sit and read and I'll really get into what I'm reading, and I don't want anybody to bother me because I'm reading. All kinds of different things that kind of revolve around escaping or getting upset and all of that. So I'm not saying that that stuff is not happening still, but it's something that is something that I struggle with, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress. You'll have to ask Dr. Caroline Verkuyk and my children about that, but I feel like I've made a lot of progress. I feel like it's a lifetime thing that you have to go through. So I am constantly trying to realize or understand when a frustration comes. You know, I kind of look at it and try to think about it before I react or I decide to do something. And one thing that I've done lately more often is go out with Caroline and we have fun, and we go out and we go to a place and we dance, and I come back and I feel really, really happy. We end up talking to friends and I have a lot of fun, and I like that. So you know, a lot of I mean, just to kind of get my mind away from that thing, or you know, so that I don't have to think about that problem. Or I'm sorry, I'm talking so much here, but another thing is thinking about that problem and thinking, so what's the worst that could happen if this thing ends up in the worst way? And I think about that and I think, well, it wouldn't be great, but I'm not going to die. So I move forward with that. So anyway, that's the long answer. I didn't want to just tell you that I have it all figured out and here's my answer and I'm so good at this, because I'm not. So there's my answer. Thank you.
I think that's your best answer ever, David.
That's true.
Out of all the time that I feel like you've introduced yourself and answered questions here, I feel like that was just such an honest response, and in front of your friends and family. Like every person in your immediate family, if you all don't know, are on this call and they've just heard their dad say all these things. Like that's incredibly powerful and so honest.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
bravo
Very
to
proud of
you.
you, David.
Mhm. And David is actually going to be, I'm looking at my calendar, he is going to
The
be one
20th.
of our guest presenters later in March.
How much
So
time do I have?
what, how much time?
I'm
You
gonna
got
get nervous.
time.
I got to start preparing.
You're
You got
on the
time.
20th.
That's plenty of time. I've already started working on it, but I'll work on it some more today.
That's going to be a great presentation. And I feel like every week leading up to it, like it kind of feels like you're more and more ready. So it's really cool to watch. Thanks for your bravery, David. And I love that you included DJ in your description. Yeah.
Yes, he's a DJ.
All right. So as always, I would like to call on my beautiful friend Lacey first. I call on her first every week. I don't know why I do it. I guess I'm a creature of habit. Why change now? We all love Lacey and hear what she has to say. Take it away, Lacey.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lacey. I'm 15 years old and I live in Kinnelon, New Jersey. And most of my challenges or obstacles are faced during school when I don't understand something. So I either keep trying or I just ask for help. Because sometimes I feel like I don't want my answer, my question to be something that she expects everyone to know. But I guess not everyone's going to know everything. So it's okay to ask questions.
That is so true. Asking a question is a great way to handle an obstacle or a challenge. And I can tell you as a teacher, teachers love questions. And if somebody, is brave enough to raise their hand and ask a question, it actually lets the teacher know that number one, you don't understand what they have just presented. And number two, that you're probably not the only one who doesn't get it either. So never be afraid to speak up. Nice.
I wish
Nice
I knew
answer,
that
Lacey.
when I was a student, Lacey, that the teacher likes people who ask questions. I was just like you, I was always afraid to say the wrong answer.
Mhm. Definitely. All right. How about our dear friends all the way in Cote d'Ivoire, Ritika and Pooja? Hi, girls.
Hello, my name is Rithika and I'm 9 years old. And my answer to the question is that I'll keep on trying and trying, but if I don't get it in the end, I would ask somebody if they could help me understand the question.
Beautiful answer.
Very nice. Very nice.
Hi,
Hey,
Rebecca.
Pooja.
How are you, Rebecca?
Hi.
Dr. Caroline.
Good to see you.
Same here. Hi, David. Hello, Justin. So my name is Pooja. I'm Ritika's mom and two more girls. I have three girls. We live in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. So the question, the answer for the question, when I'm in some kind of a difficulty, I think too much. And finally, I think too much, and that disturbs me. And at the end, in the last minute, I always give it a shot, saying that no, I shouldn't think too much about it. Just do my best, and then I think things become easier. And then I think that why was I thinking so much about it? Not have unnecessarily worried.
Power of our mind, right?
Yes, and I think we can tame the mind, but we fail to do it most of the time because we always worry.
Agree.
Okay, great.
Agree. So good to see you girls all the time. Oh my goodness. Can I please next call on our dear friend from Bangalore, India, Mr. Yati Murthy. And he has just turned 15 years old. For the past year, we've heard him introduce himself as a 14-year-old. Now he's the 15-year-old. He is also our Rocks for Recovery Asia representative, spreading the word about drug recovery and prevention on the continent of Asia. All of this in a 15-year-old kid. Take it away, Yati.
Hi everyone, my name is Yati. My actual name is Yata, but you can call me Yati. I'm 15 years old. I'm getting used to saying 14 now. I'm 15 years old and I live in Bangalore, India. And I guess I would always try to work my way around the problem by either analyzing the situation first and then attacking the problem. So if all that doesn't happen, and if I hit like a roadblock or something like that, I always try to go back. I always try to go to my elders, like depending on the situation. If it's something that's happened in school, I go to my teachers. If not, if it's some family problem, I always try to go to my mom or dad. It basically depends, varies from problem to problem if I face one. So that's how I would work my way around a problem.
So you're not afraid to reach out to people. Yeah.
I feel
And you know that you could always reach out to any of us here too.
I feel it's best to reach out to people because they can actually help you and support you in whatever tough time problem you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And especially, if you reach out to an adult about any kind of problem, like Dr. Caroline always says, there's a very good chance that we have been through it too. So, yeah.
So true.
Yati looks older. Does anybody else think Yati looks older? I don't know what it is. He looks older.
It looks like he grew an
All
inch.
right.
He looks older.
I know. Maybe he's just sitting extra tall in his chair or something. Yeah, he just looks more mature to me.
He looks so mature now.
Yeah, he looks like a little more broad-chested
know.
or something. I don't know. Now he turned his camera off.
Uh-oh.
It's like you're embarrassing me.
Sorry,
Love you,
Yati.
Yati.
No, I just try to adjust my chair to the proper level over there. That's all.
Ah, I see, I see. Oh my gosh. Okay, I see that Ava is here.
I know, I got so excited when I saw her
Me
logging in. I was like,
Hi, girls. How's it going?
you guys grew, we missed you. That's not, you guys changed. Is that really Ava? And oh my goodness.
Ava
You
and
guys look
Alyssa.
different. Yeah, we missed you.
Oh my gosh.
Very cool. Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm 10 years old and I live in Trustwell, Alabama. The weird thing that I do when I'm frustrated and I can't get a question on my schoolwork, that's mostly what I get frustrated about. Besides, sometimes. But if I have a challenging question on schoolwork, if I don't get it right the first 5 times, I end up maybe throwing a few things on the floor. Ava tells me to go to my room. And then when I come back, I try doing it again. And most of the time I get it right that time, but if I don't, I go back to my room and then come back, and normally that helps.
Wow, what an honest answer.
So kind of walking away a little bit. Yeah. Or throwing things. I mean, I have to tell you guys,
Things. Caroline sends me to my room. I don't even have to go there.
as long as something isn't breakable and you're not ruining something that isn't yours, I don't think there's anything wrong with throwing stuff when you're mad. Oh my gosh, here I am. Some of you may not agree. But I remember when I was probably around Ava's age, when I would get so frustrated with my math homework, I would actually throw ice cubes at the wall in my basement. It wasn't hurting anything. Actually, my mom told me to go do it. She's like, go throw some ice. And I'm not even joking. It works. It was just a brick wall in my basement. And I threw this ice so hard and I felt so much better because, you guys, long division. Hello. Long division. If we have any 4th or 5th graders here, or any of you kids that remember learning this recently, it's so frustrating. Or spelling, or, you know, anything that just gives you a little bit of trouble. Like, you find your own way of releasing that frustration. So Alyssa, if you throw things on the floor, like your pencil, and as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone or ruining something that's not yours, girl, you do what you got to do.
That was a very beautiful, honest answer. I love it. Love it.
I'm Ava and I'm 15 years old and I live in Trustwell, Alabama. And I think most of my frustration comes from trying to avoid conflict and just not being able to fully stand up for myself. So most of the time, I think it's really helpful to talk to my grandma because she knows what it's like to deal with that. So just sitting with her and just talking, we can talk for hours, but it really helps. When I walk out, I feel a whole lot better.
Ah, that's good. When did you turn 15?
October.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you guys are very lucky to have your grandma there. We loved when we had her here as a speaker, and every person remembers her for all the different illustrations she did with like a mask, you know, of sadness, of happiness, of shame, of guilt. Oh, we need her here every time to be our counselor for everybody.
Yeah,
Yes,
give
and
a
her
whole-
granddaughters are just equally as incredible, Ava and Alyssa.
Yes.
And Ava, I think we all know here just by getting to know you that you are like a very gentle soul. And I could see how you probably don't like conflict, or maybe even not stand up for yourself, or try not to, you know, rock the boat too much, as they would say. But I really believe 100% that you'll find your voice to, you know, stand up for the things that are bothering you, or the things that you really want to say, even though it may lead to some hard conversations. You'll find that voice.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you're very gentle.
But you're stronger than you think. I'm also somebody who truly hates conflict and avoids it, but I don't look at that as a weakness that I can defend myself.
No.
So you're stronger than you think. And the way you're strong is that you don't like being in the conflict. You're strong enough to walk away from it. Some people just have to get into the fight and into the conflict, but you avoiding it or not liking it, you're really strong that you can resist it. Others, some people can walk away. They're like, no, I have to fight this person. So
That's so true. That's so true. And people might even look to you, Ava, to work through conflict because you just have that quality about you. Yeah, I agree, Dr. Caroline. All right, beautiful girls from Alabama, welcome and so good to see you. Give your grandma a big hug from all of us, Dr. Penny. All right, how about Alex? Go ahead, Alex.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Jenga-Verkaik, son of Caroline and David. I'm 17 years old and I live in Kettle, New Jersey. And one thing that I do to deal with problems is definitely now I pray about it to try to stay humble and calm because I know that I don't know. I try not to get stressed because I feel like that just makes the problem worse. Usually just try to pray about it and just calm down and then try to like take it slowly and try to solve it. And that always works. It helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you so much, Alex. You look very handsome today.
Good, strong answer. Alex, let us know when you hear back from MMG, from the modeling agency. I'm sure you'll be hearing back soon.
Yeah, I'll make sure to thank you guys.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. How about our youngest member, Michelle? Hey, Michelle.
My name is Michelle. I'm 7 years old. I live in Carolina, New Jersey, and something.
Michelle, what do you do when you're angry or sad? How do you help yourself?
I just go upstairs and just wait until I'm calm and calm and yeah, calm and not sad and angry, and then I come back downstairs.
Wow, that's such a great answer and so true, Michelle, because I've seen you do that.
Hello, Rebecca.
Hi. Hey, Rohit.
Yeah, Rebecca, one of my friends might join, okay?
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I've told her she's gonna join now. Please
Okay.
Yeah,
accept me.
I just let her in, yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Thank you, Rohit. And you might as well introduce yourself now that you're at 8.
Yeah, go ahead, Rohit.
Hi, guys. I'm Rohit from India. And what is the question?
Oh, the question is, so when you have a challenge or a problem in your everyday life, how do you work through your problems or your frustration? What do you do?
Honestly, if that happens, I take one of my pillows, hit it until my anger goes off, and then I calm down myself.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is real life advice and solutions, you guys. You hear it from Rohit. He hits his pillow. He's not going to hurt that pillow. He's not hurting anybody else. He's not hurting himself. And that's what helps him get his frustration out.
Great answer. That's really good. I love the honesty from these kids.
So much honesty, Dr. Caroline. It's really, really incredible. All right. How about Sandy? Go ahead, Sandy.
Hi, my name is Sandra. I'm 20. I live in New Jersey. What I do to overcome obstacles in my life, it's probably sometimes I just write lists so then I could be clear on what the solution is, so then I could just check it off and stuff like that.
Sandy is a thinker for sure. She's a planner. helps to write things down. When you see something written down, then, you know, it's very real, right?
She's very good at planning and handling her whatever she's going through. She's really good.
I believe that. All right, how about my brother John in Kenya? Hey, John.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm sorry, I'm not, yes, I'm not able to switch on my camera, but you'll bear with me. I'm in a place that I'm not able, but I'm following every single bit. So my name is John Mutisia from Kenya. I'm a teacher by profession. I teach science and mathematics. It's always a pleasure to be in this meeting and get to listen to the words of advice and wisdom, and also to see the young ones are getting direction in the challenges that they face each day. To the question of the day, I think I'm one of those people, a lot of things to themselves, and try to see I can get away on how to overcome. So I'll really share challenges that I face.
Thanks, John.
Hey, John.
Please
Welcome,
give
welcome.
our love to Edward and Simon.
I will once I get where they are. We are not together today.
Aha. Well, we love hearing from you. We love all of your insight and wisdom always.
Thank you. It's always part of the voice of our child.
And we can't wait to see you.
Yeah, we are waiting for the countdown. I'm sure Mr. Van Keck will be asked how many months and days are remaining.
Yep.
Oh, yes. David, do you have a countdown for us by chance?
Yes, so okay, let's see. 3 months, 29 days, 0 hours, 41 minutes, and 31 seconds.
Wow. All right, you guys heard it here.
You're getting close.
That's very close. That's like a quarter of a year. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How exciting. All right, how about our new friend, Mohita? Mohita, I think you have to unmute yourself, honey.
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, could you tell us your name, how old you are, and where you're from?
My name is Mohita. I'm 14. I'm here.
Oop, we're having
Your
a
audio
little
is
bit of...
not working.
Ah.
Your audio is
Bummer.
not working yet.
Oh, it's not?
I think it's gonna work now.
Okay. We could also come back to your friends once maybe they're able to
Hello.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working now, Mohita.
Yeah, my name is Mohita. I'm 14 years old. I'm from India.
So nice to meet you. Thanks for coming today. And Rohit, thank you so much for inviting her.
It's okay.
Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much. It's really nice when you guys invite your friends.
Yeah, Mohita, if you can you tell us, what do you do when you're frustrated or you have a problem? What's your way of dealing with problems or challenges? Are you there, Mohita?
Maybe she's having an issue connecting.
She's
come
so
back
far,
to you.
she's so far away.
Yeah.
If she's able to answer, Mohita, you can talk to me directly in the chat, and I can share your answer for you. So if we're ever having an issue with connectivity and we can't get you on audio, you can always share your answer to me in the chat and I will share it with the group for you. Okay, how about moving right along, because we go live in about 10 minutes with Justin's presentation. And I know that Justin will be answering this question for us, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say. So how about Wes? Wes, are you there? He's upstairs. I will go and get him then.
In the meantime,
Okay.
we could have somebody else go.
Yep. How about Terry? Go ahead, Terry.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Hi, Carol. Hi, is everything?
Everything is great, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be with you guys tonight or this evening. At least I made it home early enough.
That's really great.
Yeah, but my young son is not yet home. I know you had asked me to let him join, but I'm not able to have him around.
Okay.
But I'm following.
That's fantastic. So how would you like to share how you solve problems when you face them?
I go mute.
You go what?
Silent. I go silent.
Ah,
I'd rather not talk unless I say something I'll regret later.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just go silent and then I calm myself down.
That's a good way of handling it, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
So
Terry.
we'll have Wes and then Dr. Penny. I'm so excited she's here. And then we'll go live.
Yep, and Shilpa.
Oh, and Shilpa too.
Yeah. All right, Wesley, go
Oh,
ahead.
there's Shilpa. Okay, I can see you.
His microphone wasn't working upstairs. Go ahead.
Okay. Something.
No, your name, your age, where you're from.
My name is Wesley. I'm from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Bethlehem. I'm 11 and a half years old. And something, what was it again?
What do you do when you have a problem or a challenge? How do you get through it? What's your best way?
I usually answer the question like what I think it is, and then I grab a calculator and like check it. And if I'm wrong, I just put the answer on the calculator in.
So you try again.
Yeah.
How about if you have a problem like with a friend or with your mom, or you're not getting along with somebody, like what would you do?
I have no idea.
You do, I know. Very 11-year-old answer to say I have.
Oh, 11 and a half, Rebecca. Don't
11
forget.
and a half, I'm sorry. Don't let me cheat him out of the half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him think about this one because I'm pretty sure he can report the answer to me later. Okay. How about our dear friend, Dr. Penny? Go ahead, Dr. Penny.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. It's nice to be back with you again.
Welcome back. We miss you.
Yeah, I've just been the way where you see that you're multitasking and sometimes you multitask until you miss on some things. It's just been busy, but I'm well. And remind me the question again, Miss Rebecca. Hello?
Oh, okay.
Hi, Dr. Penny.
Oh, she wanted you to remind her the question.
The question, I was actually just talking to Wesley about the question.
Okay,
The question
sorry.
is, if you're having a problem or an obstacle or a challenge, how do you get through those things? What's your best way?
One of the things I've learned is to take time and just be quiet, chill up, and allow my mind to think about it quietly. And then if I'm angry about something, I might put on some very quiet music. You will not hear it, but behind me there is some music so that I can calm myself down and remind myself that I don't have to know everything and I don't have to be able to answer every question, but one thing, to accept where I am and be able to tell myself that I can do it, encourage myself and say, if I make a mistake, it's human. If I get it, it's okay. But to remind myself that I don't need to put more frustration on myself by insisting I have to know everything.
That's beautiful. That's really great.
Very good point.
Music sometimes calms us down or fixes what we're worried about.
Yes, and giving myself time to reflect and know that, yeah, I am not required to know everything, and I can do it slowly by slowly, and also realize that every journey starts with one mistake, and things will not always go my way.
That's so true. That's very true.
Thank you, but it's nice to see you all again.
We miss you. We need you here. You're our counselor. These kids need to have that comforting advice from you. So we're actually thinking of featuring you again because a lot of people were so impressed with your presentation on the mental health. So.
Okay, we'll do it again. It's just that I have gotten myself, I think I ended up spreading myself too thin.
Too thin, that's so true.
Yeah, we even when we don't, we always end up with the girls saying, I know we missed a program today, and then, but we love being here.
Yeah.
Yes, so today we're glad to see you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Penny.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Penny. Yes, let's definitely feature Dr. Penny again. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll be glad to come back again.
Awesome. Let's talk about dates this spring. We have openings for April, so we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
How about our dear friend Shilpa? Hey, Shilpa.
Hey, everyone. Good evening. Good morning to you all. Yeah.
Good evening.
My name is Shilpa. I'm from Bangalore, India. I'm Yati's mom. And when I come across a situation what was the question actually? How do we deal a situation? Yes. So what I do earlier, I would get very angry. I would always question why me. But with experience, I've realized the better way to face this problem is accepting it. It has happened and I have to kind of face it. I might as well do it. So it gives me the courage. It gives me the mental, the strength to kind of face that situation. So that's how I've been kind of, and it makes me, okay, fine. This is another phase which I'm going to go through and I'm going to pass that as well. So that's how I face my difficulties or my difficult situation. I just accept it and I won't fight it.
Super good advice.
Yeah.
Whenever I think to myself, like, why me? I read somewhere that you can change that way of thinking by saying, well, why not me?
Why not me? That's true.
Why not?
Yes.
Why
not me?
Why not me?
It's like, I have one more thing to say. It's like, it's not impossible. It's I am possible. So that's what kind of keeps me going too, kinds. It's not impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm possible. Why not me?
Possible, yeah.
Why not have this challenge? Like this challenge, whatever it is for each one of us, has been placed in front of us because we're meant to overcome it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening in our life. So why not me? Right?
Yes.
I'm possible.
And in fact, it's making me like challenges. I like challenges now. Okay, you want to bring forth? Let's go.
Right. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I agree. Thanks, Shilpa.
Welcome.
Did I see that Michelle has her hand raised? Michelle, did you raise your hand? I see Michelle raising her hand. Hi, honey. Oh, I love her hair too. I think she's Michelle. Are you trying to unmute yourself to ask a question? There she is.
I wanted to say my sister didn't get called on.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh.
let's call on her.
Sorry, thank you,
Anita.
Michelle.
Sorry, Anita. And I've been seeing you there this whole time with your perfect center part in your hair. I wish I could do that.
Do you want me to go now? Or-
Go ahead, Anita.
Oh, okay. So hi, my name is Anita. I'm 14 years old. I live in Canal, New Jersey, and whenever I like face challenges, I usually try to see the positive out of it, or like I do something to get my mind off it. But sometimes I usually try not to get mad because it doesn't really make the situation any better.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. I feel like Shilpa echoed a lot of that too. Yeah. Not to get mad, just to work through things, right? I feel like it's not in your nature to get too angry, Anita. But then again, I don't know. I don't live with you. So.
No, she's really she really doesn't. She doesn't show it, but I'm sure she does.
Well, Dr. Caroline, are we about ready to be live?
We are live already. For the last 1 minute. I always
Boy,
make sure whether it's a kid speaking, I just let it go, because then there's always people who are waiting to listen to what we have to say. So
that's very true.
Yeah.
Well, hello to everybody out there on Facebook. Thank you so much for liking the Voice of Our Child Facebook page and keeping up to date with all of the things that we have going on, including our incredible esteemed guest presenters like Mr. Justin Bryan today, or information about our annual humanitarian trip to Kenya, which is coming up in just a short 3 months. So just make sure you're visiting our page, liking all of our posts and sharing it with your friends, or visiting voiceofourchild.com to find out more about how you can help out by donating to our incredible cause to bringing as many kids as we can to this once in a lifetime annual trip to Kenya, where kids are really taking part in humanitarian work and changing the world around them, and also changing themselves for the better. So I'm Rebecca West Hensinger. I'm your director and moderator here. We're here each and every week live on this Facebook page at 11:30 a.m. EST. Now, for the past hour, we have heard from our youth and adult participants from all around the world. And today we are talking about how we overcome the challenges and obstacles in our everyday life. And as always, we are blown away by the maturity and the depth of the answers that our kids have given to us. And I know that all of us here have really learned even more coping strategies to get through whatever life throws at us. So before we start with our presenter, I would love to introduce to you our founder and CEO, Dr. Caroline Verkuyk, and she is just going to fill you in a little bit on why we're all here each and every week, how Voice of Our Child got started, and what we're hoping to do. So ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Caroline Verkuyk.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And we couldn't be doing all this without your help. And without your skills as a teacher, because you're dealing here with children, and just your expertise in arranging all this, doing the graphics and everything that you're doing, and also supporting what you're doing with the opioid crisis. So thank you so much for that. So yeah, my name is Caroline Verkuyk, founder of the Voice of Our Child. And I started the Voice of Our Child with my husband, David. When we found out that one of our children really struggled with depression, we didn't even know it. So I can imagine how many parents are out there whose child is suffering, but maybe they don't even know it. Maybe the child could be exhibiting like things of maybe failing in school or acting out or things like that. And then you just interpret that to be teens. Or maybe your child is even just quiet and you don't even know. A lot of parents have woken up and found their child dead. by suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in our teens today. So as a parent, I knew that I needed to get out there, educate all the parents on all the signs that I missed out on, but also talk to our children through the Voice of Our Child Global Zoom Summit, where we get speakers who, from their stories, these kids are learning life skills. We have people who talking to them about depression, about bullying, about choosing a career, about love, about anything that you can think of. We have every kind of speaker who has been here speaking to these kids. Because you might say, well, my child doesn't have depression. You don't know. Depression can just spring out and your child gets bullied and they have depression. If your child is not struggling with depression, they might lose their life under somebody's hands who's struggling with depression. We have seen that in many of the school shootings. So we focus on these kids and we urge parents, like, just engage your kids in conversations about things. Talk to them about dating and how you probably dated and somebody broke your heart. Talk to them about failing in school and how you probably failed in school. Talk to them about drugs and maybe how you or somebody you know was into drugs. Learn to always have that relationship. Most people are always afraid, oh, I don't want to talk to my kids about depression or suicide. I'll put the idea in their head. You can never put the idea of depression or suicide on a kid's head. But if your child happens to be struggling or they have a friend who's struggling and you talk to them about it, we have found through our research that kids actually love when somebody asks them, have you ever been depressed? Have you ever thought of taking your life? Because then it starts a conversation for them. And we also need to remove that stigma of mental illness so that it's no longer a shame, because that stigma of mental illness is what is actually making a lot of people hide. It's what's making a lot of people feel ashamed when they are struggling or don't know what to do. Some of our kids go to college and they numb themselves with drugs or alcohol because they don't know what they're feeling. And that little feeling from the drugs or alcohol gives them a boost and they're like, oh my goodness, you mean this is what I needed all my life? So that's why we started the Voice of Our Child. And with our guest speaker today, who you'll get to meet in a little bit, I hope that you're watching and you get to share, because this is one speaker who will truly be speaking to you, to your child, to so many people who struggle with so many issues in their life, struggling with mental health and all that. So this is one episode that you don't want to miss. So thank you so much. And if you'd like to follow us on voiceofourchild.org or write to us at voiceofourchild@gmail.com to see how you could get involved. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Caroline. And it's also important to note that anyone and everyone is welcome to join us each and every Saturday. We start our core group check-in at 10:30 a.m. EST. So if you're watching this live on Facebook, just as a viewer, just know that you are formally and cordially invited to join us at 10:30 a.m. and become part of our group, part of our family, where we practice public speaking, we check in on one another, and we just talk about life. So if you're interested, definitely write to us at voiceofourchild@gmail.com. We would love to have you. We have participants everywhere between 5 years old and 21 years old, and also a lot of adults involved too. So we welcome anyone and everyone. So before we get started with our presenter, I would like to introduce to you our co-founder and president, Mr. David Verkuyk. Maybe he has a few words to say to everyone, just to say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm David Verkuyk, co-founder, and the Voice of Our Child. You're gonna really enjoy the speaker today. He's very good at what he works on and what he does, and it helps to it runs right in line with the Voice of Our Child and what we're trying to do as well. So I hope you enjoy and get a lot out of this presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, David. All right, now without further ado, the moment we've been waiting for, it is my pleasure and extreme honor to introduce to you our guest speaker, Justin Bryan. So Justin, would you please give your name, your age if you want, and where you're located, and the answer to our discussion question this morning, which hopefully will kick off your presentation. So everyone, if you don't know, the question today is, how do you deal with the obstacles and challenges that you face in everyday life? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Justin Bryan.
Hey everybody, thank you for having me and thank you for that intro. I'm almost blushing over here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Justin Bryan. I'm 36 years old. I'm from Salmon Arm, British Columbia, Canada. And to answer that question, I took some notes, and there's a lot of good answers on here. But I think the biggest one is, for me, it's, I saw this one time, it's STR. So you stop, you think, then you react. Now, you also got to think, okay, is this a problem? Is this within my control, or is this something I can't control? Is it like an outside force, or is this something I can do about it? Am I the cause of this problem? Is there something I can do about it? But I like one person said, just breathe. You know what? Maybe you have to walk away. But I like to look at it from different perspectives. What is the way I can get around it? Is it to walk away? Is it to breathe? Is it to tackle it head on? But the biggest thing I noticed was all the kids say, and what we instill in our kids as adults, is ask for help. And that's one thing that we as adults have to remind ourselves. When we're struggling, we must ask for help as well. So I just want to applaud all the kids for saying, hey, you know what? We're going to try it. We're going to attack it. We're going to get after it. But hey, I mean, we might even throw some, Ava, no. The one thing, I throw some stuff on the floor, and then I'm going to come back later to it. I think it was Ava's sister. But then she's going to ask for help if she can't get it. And so, you know what? I think every person that said something had a really good point. Acknowledge it, accept it, and then see what you can do for it. But that would be my answer to the question. Now, my presentation is going to be on how I found happiness at the bottom of a bottle. Now, what does that even mean? So I actually found happiness at the bottom of a bottle 2 different ways. So I turned to alcohol to become happier. So when I was drinking, I found happiness in that bottle. But when I finally put it down, that is when I started to find true happiness. So there I was. I found myself sitting in a hospital room. I had my dad to my left. I had my mom in front of me, and I had a counselor to the right. And I had all these thoughts racing in my head, like, how did I get to this point? What in my life made such a drastic switch for me that I put myself in this room? So January 4th, 2019. And that was the first day, or the first time, that I admitted out loud that I had a plan, and that plan was to end it. That plan was to take my own life, unfortunately. However, the January 4th, 2019 was the day that my history actually met my future. So as I said before, my name is Justin Bryan. I'm a mental health advocate, inspirational speaker, and a certified life coach. However, to be able to put those, let's say, titles in front of my name, it was a 16-year-long battle of addiction. And now that I look back on it, it's been a lifetime of my own mental health issues. So I was diagnosed with clinical depression, social and general anxiety, ADHD. Now, I was diagnosed with this at 30 years old, so only 6 years ago. So I was basically fighting all these with no idea of what was going on. Like, I thought I was the weird one. That ultimately led me to, I also actually suffered from concussions, 7 documented concussions. I've had post-concussive syndrome. So when you put a mental illness with, you mix drugs, you mix alcohol, because I started coping with what was going on in life with drugs and alcohol. So you start bringing that in, mental illness plus concussions mixed with drugs and alcohol. I ended up becoming suicidal. So I was suicidal for 6 straight years. I was scared of myself. I was scared of the daytime because the light coming in, but I didn't want it to turn to night. And it almost turned to, I almost lost everything. I was losing my friends. I was losing jobs. I was losing my family, to the point where my girlfriend had to leave with our 6-month-old because I just wasn't a safe environment for our kid. I wasn't abusive or anything like that. However, it wasn't safe. My girlfriend didn't want our son to grow up around an alcoholic, and I couldn't keep it together. So I'm here today to talk to you because I want you to know that your mental health matters. And for me to make the necessary changes that I had to make, I had to stop ignoring my mental health, and I had to start to embrace it as my own. Now, I was diagnosed with all those things. However, which was kind of a weight off my back, because it gave me a reason. It's like, okay, this is why you act the way you are. However, I'm not going to let it define me. So what am I going to do to break free from that? So I'm going to show you today how I went from an addict and clinically depressed to a inspirational speaker and a life coach. I'm going to talk about how, finding my why, making it my anchor, and how your why needs a how, because the why is the belief, but the how is the action. Navigating my 3 A's of admitting, accepting, asking for help led me to where I am today, but also how you need to end with self-love and compassion, because you need to love yourself first. Now, a little bit of my backstory. So growing up as a kid, I had very low self-worth, very low self-esteem. My confidence was basically non-existent. I always wanted to be everybody else. I got good grades in school. People liked me, but I didn't like myself. I would compare myself. And like I said, I wanted to be everyone but me. And unfortunately, that led me to, I didn't barely drink in high school, maybe a handful of times. But when I got out of high school, I found the power of what drinking could do to me. It gave me, so at 19, I moved away for hockey. I started drinking more. And as soon as I drink, I'm like, oh, wow, well, this actually makes me feel good. So it gave me that false confidence, gave me that false hope. It made me, what I thought, it made me funnier. It brought my extrovert out, because I can be very extroverted or very introverted. Sometimes I like to be the life of the party, but sometimes I want to be alone. So that escalated into, I had an algorithm on how to drink. So for me to leave my house, I would have to have a certain amount of drinks. Even if I was just going to a friend's house to mask my anxiety, the nervousness, then I would go there and I'm confident. So I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? Oh, I'll have some more drinks or some more shots. If I went out, I would have to have this many shots to talk to a girl, this many shots to go talk or to go on the dance floor. So eventually it became an algorithm to me drinking. I graduated at 24 years old. I tried cocaine for the first time. And the worst thing my friend could have done to me, not his fault at all, but he told me I was funny. So as soon as he told me that I was funny, when I tried these drugs, I had a mindset switch. Oh, really? Okay, so now I think Caroline was talking about that. Alcohol brought you this. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't feel good. I can have alcohol. And when I was bartending in Vancouver, I was actually drinking every single day. I would have probably a 2.6 of vodka to myself, and I would go home and be by myself, watch TV and drink to myself. But then now I got drugs. So I can drink and feel good and then do drugs and feel even better. So that was just a recipe for disaster. So I essentially almost graduated to doing both. And I found myself being calm. I would be nervous until I had that drink. I would drink to change my mindset. And I knew it was wrong. I was 24 years old and I was walking down the bridge in Vancouver and I looked up and I'm like, holy cow. I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm not an alcoholic. I can't be an alcoholic. I'm too smart for that. And because I thought I was too smart for that is what really made me put it on the back burner. Because what did I do? I correlated alcohol and drugs with, people with problems, people with issues. I don't have any problems. I don't have any issues. I'm too smart to have those issues. However, my issues were just beginning. And one of the biggest things I realized is that when I was 24 years old, I still remember where I was driving. I was having a conversation with a buddy about depression, and I looked at him and I'm like, you know what? Depression, it's an excuse. That's for the weak. So I lived by that man up stigma of be a man, go to work, do your job, pay your bills, don't show emotions. And what I didn't realize is that almost ended up taking my life because of my internal dialogue, because I kept talking to myself that way, man up. Look at these people are functioning, these people are normal, to it got to the point where I would literally get down on my knees beside my bed and I would pray to God, hey, can you just make me normal, please? And so my addiction kept escalating. And unfortunately, within a couple of years, I ended up losing 6 close friends of mine. I lost my best friend to a drug overdose. And you know what? You think that would turn me, that you think that would switch me to want to get better, but it didn't. I kept going down that same path. And you know, when my girlfriend left me with our kid, you think that would change me, but it didn't. See, what I like to tell people is you don't choose addiction. However, you choose to stay in addiction. The hardest part of addiction isn't quitting, but it's living in sobriety. So with that being said, I could quit substances. However, it was learning how to live sober, how to deal with my mindset, how to deal with my emotions sober. And that was the trickiest part because I was denying all those emotions. And I would just eventually go back to the substance. And I remember one time I had my kid, he was 3 years old, and my mind is racing and I didn't know what to do. I kept thinking, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? What am I going to do? So I picked him up. I took him to the store. I got him a big candy and I got him some chips. I brought him home and I put him in front of the TV and I turned that TV on and I went behind him and I started staring at the back of his head and I started crying. And I was thinking, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it to see him score his first goal? Am I going to make it to teach him how to ride a bike, take him skating, graduate, get married? And I just had these thoughts, am I going to make it? When I was in that state, I honestly started to think that he was better off without me, that he needed a father that was going to be there for him. I knew that my ex, his mother, she's a really very smart woman. She's beautiful. She's that best heart I've ever met. I knew she could find someone for him. And, you know, you think I would want to change after that again, but I couldn't because I just got into that vicious cycle of thinking he's better off without me. And one time I was in a hospital. I had IVs hooked up to me because I drank too much and I couldn't keep water down. So they had to pump me full of IVs. And then he walked in with his mom and he looked at her, looked at me, looked at her and said, Mommy, what's wrong with Daddy? And you know what? I have all these things in my life that come up that you think would make me want to change. I wanted to change. I needed to change, but I just didn't know how to change. So I went to rehab once, but I went with the wrong mindset. I went there, I worked out, I got bigger, and I got out. And the first thing I said to my uncle is, you know what? I'm going to drink again one day. And that's what eventually went me back to drinking and then my girlfriend leaving. However, I went back to rehab for a second time, and I'll tell you why. So I started listening to inspirational speakers like Trent Shelton, Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson, and Les Brown. Now, and I didn't even know who these guys were. I'm just putting on YouTube and I hear all these guys speaking. And one thing that they kept talking about was find your why. So I started asking myself questions. Okay, Justin, what is your why? And I had no idea. I was at the point where I wanted to leave this earth so my son could have a better father. But what if I made him my why? Well, what if I got better for him? Because I knew I was a good guy. I knew I had it in me. So what if I just get better for him? If I get better for him, I get better for me. If I get better for me, I can do things like this and help other people get better. So boom, I found my why. So with that why intact, I went back to rehab for the second time. And then instead of trying to quit drinking, I asked myself, why do I drink? Well, it's because I have it's because I'm depressed. Well, why am I depressed? Because I have low self-esteem, low self-confidence. Well, why do I feel like that? Well, it's because I never recognized it. And it's because I never tackled it. I never believed in it. I was one of those guys that I would look at gratitude and be like, oh, that's silly. Finding yourself, oh, that's silly. But I went there and I really started to find myself, but I started to question, why do I feel like this? And then, so I turned that why. Now I have that why, that belief that, hey, because you know what? I've met a lot of people that say, do it for yourself. And I do believe you need to do it for yourself. But if you can't, you find something to do it for, because guess what? You are somebody. And I was that to my son. So I did that for him. However, it came back. I was really doing it. It came back for me because I'm still here. So I had my why. Now the how. So the why is the belief, the how is the action. So how am I going to get better? Well, I'm going to go to rehab. I'm going to commit to my doctor's appointments. So I've been to 100 doctor's appointments. I've spent 77 days in rehab. I've been to 45 addiction appointments, 10 psychiatrists, 10 psychologists. I've tried 8 different meds. But one of the big things is I found that one why. How else am I going to get better? Well, I'm going to journal. I'm going to do gratitude, mindfulness, affirmations. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to stick to my recovery program and stay consistent, which leads me to my 3 A's of admit, accept, and ask for help. So I just put together a presentation on mental health, and I realized that I did those steps: admit, accept, and ask for help. So you have to admit that you have the problem. So I had to admit to myself, you're an alcoholic. I had to admit to myself that, hey, you have depression. It is very real. And the one thing with depression is it does not discriminate. It doesn't care of your age, your race, what you do for a living, or your gender. It affects 1 out of every 10 people in this world. 1 out of every 10 people suffer from a mental illness, whether it's bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression. And 1 out of every 5 person will have a mental health episode in their life. And so you're not alone. But so I had to admit that I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit, but I had to accept it. So I had to accept that internally for myself that, hey, you know what, you have this. So after I accepted it, what did I do? I had to ask for help. And by asking for help, I went to all my appointments and I really I grabbed my medication and then really started on my path to recovery. But when I put that mental health presentation together, I didn't realize that I admitted it. I thought I accepted it. Then I asked for help, because after I asked for help, once I started to feel better, I was like, okay, I can have that one drink. Okay, I can just drink this one time, because I didn't accept the fact that I should not drink alcohol. Alcohol should not be a part of my life. And when I started to feel better, I stopped going to my counseling appointments. I stopped taking my medications. So I couldn't accept the fact that I still needed to get help. So my journey is I realized that I have to stay consistent. So consistent with my support network. So I have a team. I have a team of doctors, a counselor. I don't take medication anymore because I'm over 2 years sober now, but I will not hesitate to go back onto medication, because you know what, it is really what got me through. When you cannot be in control of your emotions, sometimes you have to take medication, and it's okay. There are people there to help you. One of the biggest things I realized is that compassion and self-love will really get you places, because you got to realize that this is real. It affects the ones you love, but you need to love yourself enough to ask for help. And you're not weird. You're not alone, because I always thought, hey, I'm the only one struggling, but it turns out there's tons, 1 out of every 10 people struggle. So love yourself enough to ask for help. Unfortunately, the weird thing is that I turned to addictions at 19, and they kind of ruled my life for 16 years. I'm just starting to learn how to adult at 30. I'm 36 now. I'm learning how to have conversations sober. I'm learning how to go out into public sober. I'm learning all these things at 36 because I didn't want to hit the problem face on, but I did not know much about the problem. I think mental health has come a long way with trying to defeat the stigma. I think it's more understood. People are recognizing a little more, but back 12 years ago, I remember having that conversation where, okay, you know what? That's just an excuse. So I want you to know that you do not need to be the strongest person in the room, that you just need to show strong enough to show the people the real you. And that's what I did on September 10th, 2019. I spoke in front of 150 people on World Suicide Prevention Day. To the first time, it was the first time I said it like to a group of people, strangers that I didn't know. And this is what I like to call my mask exception. So that's the day I actually got to take my mask off. So I read from a script. However, before I started, they handed me the mic. All I had to do was read off the script. And I was there for about 8 seconds before I even said anything. I was literally going, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And then I spoke, and then it came out pretty fluently. I was pretty impressed. But after I walked away alone, I gave my family a sec, and I started to cry. And there were tears of relief because I could finally be me. Like that day, well, and the next day I got to step into Justin Bryan. I had a friend come up to me when I was in the gym and said, hey, you should be a personal trainer. I'm like, oh, well, actually I'm going to school to be a coach and a speaker. She's like, well, why? And then I told her my story. She's like, holy cow, I graduated with you and I had no idea because I could wear that mask. Even my mother, she had no idea. She'd look at me and she's like, I had no idea. A day after that, I put it on social media, and the outgoing support that I had of likes, comments, of people supporting me, of actually being real, was probably one of the best things I've ever done. So I took off that mask, showed my vulnerability, showed the real me, and now I get to step into Justin Bryan. Now, what I realized is that everybody has a story. Everybody's story is unique, and everybody's story is just as important. The only difference between my story is I'm choosing to share it. Now, I want you to just be you. Be unapologetically you, and be kind to everyone, because you never know what kind of battle someone else is fighting. And like when I had to take my kid to the store that day to grab him candy, people didn't know how hard I was trying to keep it together. So when you're being kind to everybody, just know you never know how hard they are trying just maybe to keep it together that day. I want you to find your voice. It's cool how this is called Voice of Your Child. And this was one of the first shirts I ever made, was Find Your Voice. Because I want people to realize it's in there. You do not have to do this alone. There are people that are out there to help you. And ask for help. Just is the best thing that I ever did. I know it's scary. If you have to reach out, and if you just have to sit in that counseling appointment for an hour, you just sit there. They will listen. They will talk. But just muster the courage to ask for help. Because like I said before, you are somebody's somebody. There was a time I didn't want my son. I didn't want him to be born because I was scared he was going to turn out like me. Now, I would love it if he turned out like me, but I know we all have a different path. But I can finally say, I am happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I know it hurts sometimes. You will have good days. You will have bad days. Learn from the bad days. Remember why the good days are good. And one thing I like to tell people is your why has to be greater than your want and stronger than your struggle. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, Justin, that was so brave and so important. And I know that a lot of people here of all ages will really relate to everything that you just shared with us, which was really one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard on here. So
Thank
all
you.
thanks goes to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was just like blown away, and I liked how vulnerable you are, how truthful you are, how honest you are with what you are struggling with. Because if we have more people like you that are doing great right now, that can talk about what they struggled with to get there, these children that we are trying to mentor throughout the world will relate with you. They will understand. They'll always remember your story. And that's why we like it being told by storytelling. And one of the things that really struck me about your honesty is like the same thing I was saying, like most of the kids, when they're living with their parents, they're so afraid, maybe they're suffering from depression and they don't know what to call it. And when they go to college, it's like they have their freedom, but they're still very young. And because they've been feeling these things, you said it very well, just like I've always told these children that when you go to college and maybe your friends are having a good time and you're always sleeping or having excuses, they're like, what's wrong with you? But you're like, I don't know, like you just don't feel it. They tell you, here, try this drug. It's going to make, and then you feel like you're the life of the party, or they give you alcohol and it makes you feel so excited. So you explained that really so well, so that these children who we have here, we have kids here who are going to be going to college, will understand. If I'm feeling what Justin was feeling, I better talk to my parents now that I can get help, because there's help. There's kids who can get help through just talking to a counselor. There are kids who just need therapy. There are kids who need a psychiatrist where they need to be put on medication that will help them to feel normal. And also something that you really said was like, you always wish, why can't I be like anybody else? And those words I heard from my daughter, but I did not know what she meant. I never really thought about like depression in young kids, like how, from what? So there's a lot of parents, we could be educated, but we're very ignorant about depression and whether a kid can even get depression. And I do remember her one time telling me, I don't know, I try to be like everybody else. I don't know, I'm trying so hard. It just breaks my heart that then I didn't know what she was talking about. She didn't know what it meant herself. And today, if I could redo it all over again, I'll tell her it's okay not to feel like everybody else. It's okay not to be okay. Now let's address this and get help. So kids, if you're feeling like Justin was feeling like, I don't feel like everybody else. Everybody seems so happy. What is wrong with me? Or your friends, we have also older, younger adults here, where you feel like, oh, when I go drink, people tell me I'm funny, so I should go on drinking. There's so many other interventions that can help you to feel like everybody else, and they don't involve alcohol and they don't involve drugs, like street drugs. You could get like medication, the way you can say you have a headache and your parents take you to the doctor, you get medication. There is also medication for those kids who are struggling and feeling that they want to end their life. And I can imagine that there's so many children here who are feeling exactly what Justin has said he's feeling, but they didn't know what to call it. Now they know what it is. It is depression. There's so many parents who are watching here who have looked at their child. Maybe their child has not been able to vocalize and say that I try to be like everybody else. But if you see that your child is kind of a bit different, they're a bit shy, they're a bit held back, just ask them and get them the help they need before they go to college and they start self-medicating themselves. So Justin, I'm just blown away. I'm just really grateful that you talked and presented the way you did. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's, you know what, it's the comparing thing. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody. You are unique. You are you. You have a gift to give this world. Don't try to be like everybody else. You don't need to be. You don't have to be. You're special just the way you are.
It's so true. And also one thing that you mentioned was, and I've talked to so many people who have gone to the point where they feel like they want to take their life, where they think that my friends and my parents are better off if I'm not there. Like the way you felt, oh, my son is better off when I'm not there. Like, why would he even need a father like me, you know? But it has nothing to do with you. It's your mental health. You put the blame on yourself. I don't want him to grow up with somebody like you. Sometimes you're just born, like people have clinical depression. My daughter, it was clinical depression. You didn't bring it upon yourself. People feel shame. They feel that maybe because I'm depressed, I brought it upon myself. And it is not. Like Dr. Penny, who was talking before when she presented, she had all these different masks that she actually wore to show the kids, like, you know, you feel sad, or an angry mask or a sad mask, and all this. Everybody hides behind a mask. And sometimes it's not because you're a bad person. I mean, look at you, we're talking to you now, like you just needed to get the right help. So most people hide because they think that that they're weak, that they're stupid, that nobody will care about them because they have depression. It's the same way people can have cancer, can have diabetes, or can have whatever. You could be born with mental health. And it's okay to ask for help. The stigma has to end. And it ends with people like you, Justin, presenting. And I can't wait for the questions that these kids or parents here might be having for you. And this is the time for them to ask those questions. So.
Yeah, and you know what? The most important thing is you don't choose your mental health. However, if you're going to self-medicate, you are going to make it worse. You will amplify it tenfold if you're going to continue to use drugs and alcohol. I know it ends. I knew personally for me, took me 16 years to quit, 8 years of actively trying to quit. But I was just amplifying my feelings, my emotions, my symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see some people here who put their hand up. So yeah, if you put your hand up, just unmute yourself and talk. Yeah, anybody who wants to ask a question. Shilpa, I think you have your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Carolyn. Thank you, Justin. It was a very realistic matter of fact of the matter kind of a situation that you have faced, and I could totally relate to what you're saying. And the fact that you said, be honest to whatever it is. It's okay. You don't have to be like others, and you don't have to hide your problem. It's very, very important. And as a mother, in my relationship, like we two have gone through a lot of difficulty. And when it came to the fact that, I needed to inform my son that, it's not all hunky-dory out there in the world. God has gifted you with something, but there is some kind of weight which comes along with it, kinds like, everything can't be hunky-dory, everything can't be easily obtained. So whatever we have gone through as his parents, even before he was born, or just when he was an infant, we have told him everything, because we want him to realize what he's got today is a blessing in all forms. Because I know what suicide is. We've been there, we've literally touched that phase, and we have come out. And I can totally relate, and I'm very happy for the fact that you said. So all these days I was thinking, it was too early, so my husband and me always kind of, my husband tells me, I think it was too early for you to tell Yati what we have gone through. I said, no, it's okay, he's old enough, he's mature enough. And I think today you kind of gave me that kind of a small fact that I have done something right there, that I have told him, yes, we have gone through difficulty. It's not going to be easy. Everything is not going to come to you at the beck and call, and you have to strive for it. So that's what I feel. And today what I have taken away is at least, okay, I've not done something wrong by telling my son what we have been through, because that is what it is. There is no hiding away from it or running away from it, kinds. So thank you, Justin, for giving me that I'm not getting the word, giving me that what do you say, Barwasi?
Reassurance?
Assurance, yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, the assurance that, I've done something right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, you know what? The best thing you could do is communication with everything. Communicating with him. How are you feeling? What's going on in his life? Are you being truthful? Ask him 3 times. Are you sure? Are you sure? And then they kind of get up. Okay, well, then I'll open up.
Great. Thank you so much, Shilpa, for the question. Rebecca, and then Dr. Penny, and then after that, anyone else who wants to ask, you could ask. they had their hand up.
Yeah, Justin, I just wanted to thank you for your bravery, and
New word,
Bravery.
new word. You got it.
I'm trying to talk about your bravery and also just the way that you explained all of this with so much clarity. And we talk to our kids. I am very involved in drug education and prevention. And we talk to kids about, the dangers of drugs and alcohol, but I don't feel as a world society that we go as in depth as we need to when we kind of across the board tell kids to say no to drugs or say no to alcohol or, good decision making. I think when we hear stories like yours and we put a face with a story like you have allowed us to by getting to know you, it is so much more memorable and effective for kids around the world to get and remember this message, because you're not somebody we're reading about in a book. You're not a teacher telling the class, kids, don't do drugs, just say no. It's not effective. We need to hear people's stories. And you are playing such a key part in the prevention and education of kids around the world right now at this very moment. And I'm so thankful for you. And I just want you to know that 30 years ago, I was my dad's why. And he always tells me I'm the reason why he's still here today. My dad had 3 rehab attempts, every drug you could think of. And rehab and recovery in the early 90s was not an easy thing. It looks a lot different than what it does today. There weren't any conversations like this, but he did it. And I know that I was his why. And I'm so grateful for that. And when you open up to your son and tell him why he's your why and everything that you've gone through to get you where you are today, it is going to really dictate for him the choices that he makes in the future and how he thinks about these things. And I can tell you that is the most powerful thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
Yeah, well, wow, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that with me. I wouldn't change a second of those dark days, those lonely nights, those scary nights of being scared of myself. Like, am I going to do it? Writing letters in my head. But it's my why has changed from being him for my recovery. But my why now is you, like the people that are listening, the people that are struggling, the people that I'm serving. That's my why. And the problem I think we see with drugs and alcohol is they associate drugs and alcohol are everywhere. They're on TV, they're in sports, they're in movies, they're commercials, they're in restaurants. People associate drug or alcohol, especially, it's like it's on a pedestal. Oh, I need to go out so I can have a drink. I'm gonna go meet a friend, I need a drink. I'm gonna go golfing, I need a beer. I need to watching a movie, the guy's smoking. It's all around us, and it does surround us. And these companies, just tobacco alone spends 15 billion on advertising, just tobacco. And who do they target? Youth, because if you get them hooked early, and they also,
that's a customer for life then.
Yeah, it's a customer for life, but they also target underdeveloped countries as well. So I partner up with Interior Health, which is in our community, and I go with them and do this Jeopardy presentation on addiction. Unfortunately, all the questions that are up there, I can correlate it with my life. So I'm the example of the question. But that's where I learned this stat is that even vaping, there's nicotine, and you can actually have more nicotine into your body through vaping, depending on how many pods you have, and it's easier. And the thing about it now is is that it's flavored. And
Yeah, it's also marketed to make it seem like it's not as dangerous as cigarettes.
well, and they hire people to design the vapes to look cool.
It's
So
a shame.
it's what these companies do to get people addicted.
It's so
Right.
sad.
They don't care about you.
Yeah. And you know what?
It's a money-making industry.
Yeah, and it's an eye opener, but it's what you said about one day I'll get to tell my son about him being my wife. I actually wrote a poem for him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so
That's
much for that question,
so-
Rebecca, and for
That's
that.
so incredible.
Dr. Penny, next.
I am so glad to be in this program today. I think it was meant to be, and I feel so encouraged to hear Justin putting a face both to addictions and to suicide and everything. And I wish, I know we keep on saying, I wish so-and-so was here, but I wish this was happening 10 years ago, because we have lost far too many young lives, even, adults like you and me who have gotten hooked into this. But it is never too late. And I know that Justin is empowering a lot more young people than I can empower, because, his age and my age are different. As much as I am a professional in this field, it is so nice to hear somebody who has gone through it. When I talk about suicide, I know what it feels like. And it's so nice to hear Justin talk about whatever was meant to finish him, but has now, developed him into a powerful man who can tell the generations after him that, yeah, we can get out of this. And it's encouraging that your work and my work and our work is not in vain, even if it means saving one child or one young man or one young man. I am still so grateful that there is hope out there. And as I say this, I also want to thank God for you, Caroline, and your husband, and Rebecca, and all the people that are working with the voices of our children. You will never know how many lives you have touched because of this program. We may think we are listening at it here in America, but it is a universal program. So you will never know the impact of what you're doing just on a moment and a day like this one. And I keep, I hate it when we miss, because I know my grandchildren are learning something and they like sharing it with their friends. So keep up doing what you're doing, and know that it's never too late. It's not in vain. And for me as a professional, it gives me a lot of hope, and I am so grateful for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Penny. You're also like the way Justin said that we are his wife, the people that he talks to. You people make this possible for me. I know that yes, I can speak, but when I speak to all of you, then I know you share with somebody else. If you're a mother, you share with somebody else. If you're a kid here listening and you see a kid in school struggling, you'll share with them. Oh, by the way, I was on The Voice of Our Child and they said these drugs are bad for you. Don't get enticed to it. So thank you so much, Dr. Penny. I truly appreciate.
Thank you.
And you know what you said there? Do you guys know what the game password is? So where you whisper it, you have a big long lineup and you whisper into someone's ear and then they whisper it. This is how it works. Like I my first ever podcast, the guy asked me, he's like, so what's your mission? I'm like, well, I'm to impact 1 million. And I'm like, well, that's a lot of people. What if I just start with one? So if I can get one person and they impact another person, they impact another person, another person, another person, another person, there's a compound effect. And then you just keep spreading and it's spreading. So when you talk, you try to talk to hit that one person. You want to get everybody, but if you can get one person, yeah, it can make all the difference.
Sure. Anybody else with a question for Justin or a comment?
Oh, yeah. Can I say something? I really liked your presentation. It was really nice. And you really, like, the key component of everything that you're going through is to accept it. You have to understand that the only way to get through it is accept it and understand that there's things that could help you get through it, and therapy, medication, and everything like that. And definitely like how there's stigma against it. It's really like people don't like it, think it's like not real and everything, but it's time to accept it. And I really like that you said that. And also I've been through a lot of the same stuff. Not as bad, but definitely when I was like in middle school and stuff, through like sports, not being able to focus just because of like the environment, the other kids just like picking on me and stuff, and I just couldn't focus and I couldn't be myself. And that was really hard. And I always try to have self-love, but it was hard. And I had to watch like those inspiration videos, Inky Johnson, Eric Thomas a lot. Yeah, they're really good.
You want to bad enough as you want to breathe.
Yeah, I know that was my favorite. I used to watch them on Spotify too, just repeat like before a game or something. And then I'd be motivated the day before. Then I go to school and it's just like all it's gone. Like I just forgot about it. But we ended up moving later on, and my confidence has grown a lot. And during like junior year, I grew a lot in my confidence too. I just started appreciating myself and started to think about it like they're angry because they have their own problems. It's not good to be negative towards them because it's just going to make the problem worse. So now I try to like help them as well. Be like, why are you so angry? What's going on? And try to help them.
You know what, everybody, thank you for sharing, by the way. It's very big of you. It takes a lot of courage. And I like to tell people, by lending an ear, you may save someone's life. There's 3 times I've talked to people for more than 8 hours that were suicidal. But I know what you're saying, but yeah, accept it. So I had to accept it twice. I thought I accepted it, but then I had to review it and accept it again. But I know that feeling you have, I like to call it the less than feeling, you know, that's the sideways triangle or whatever. It's the less than. So you put everybody else is like this, and then you're like this, and you feel less than them. And there's no reason to feel like that. But I realized that you can't try. I always wanted people to understand what I was going through. I never ever wanted them to feel it. Mm-hmm. And to the point where, you know, I had 2 guys reach out, 2 really close friends. They're like, holy cow. One guy's like, holy cow, man, I get it. He's like, I need your help. Like, I'm going through it. And then another friend actually reached out and he apologized to me. He's like, hey man, I gotta tell you, I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry for what? He's like, well, to be honest, man, I thought you were faking it. He's like, I literally thought you, and this is like a close friend of mine. He's like, you have people like you, man. You're like, you're funny. You're fun to be around. He's like, I thought you were faking it for attention. He's like, but I'm going through it now. He's like, I get it. And he's like, and I'm sorry. And I'm like, you don't have to be sorry, man. Just people don't understand it. Some people do, some people don't. There's going to be people that live by the man up stigma until they die. There's going to be people that, you know, just go to work. You'll be fine. That's what we did in the past. But however, the past is the past, and this world is evolving. Look at technology. Technology is evolving every day. We as people, we have to evolve every day as well.
That's
I know my dad cried once because he didn't get it. He's like, I don't know what to do. He was military kid. So now I can look at my son and be like, okay, you become an addict. I get it. You become depressed. I get it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, a lot of parents get frustrated. They're like, I don't know what to do with my child. They're doing this and this, but they're afraid to ask, or maybe they ask their children, but their children don't exactly say what they're feeling. And one thing that I give credit to my children is that after now I found out what was going on with my daughter, even though I was kind of always open to them, like all of them, if they're going through anything, they'll always come and talk to me about it. Like Alex is really good at that. And when he was going through this kind of bullying at school and maybe being teased by the kids on the basketball, I said they're bullying you because they know you're really good. But he couldn't see that. He's like, no, they just bully me that when I threw the ball like that. And I said, one day, Alex, you're gonna realize just how good you are. And so when we moved to New Jersey and he came here to the school, they were like, my goodness, who's this kid who's coming to town? Like the way he dribbled the ball, and we'd meet so many parents out there saying, oh, are you the parents of Alex? Because there's not so many people of my color right where we live. So they're like, are you Alex's parent? And they would say, oh my goodness, my child is in basketball. And they're like, wow, where did he get those moves from? And Alex was like, Mommy, I believe now. A bully will try to bring you down so that they can shine. So these kids knew he was really good in basketball. So they had to say, oh, look at the way you're dribbling. Look at the way you're throwing. You don't even know how to throw, because they want to bring him down. And that would get into him and he would just like get frustrated and feel like not focused. But when he realized now for how good he was, it's like he comes in, he plays, and they're like, the coach is like, wow, this kid is like really so good. But even in Pennsylvania, the coach sometimes will not pick Alex for the team because when Alex was told by these kids he's not good, he believed it. And when he was playing, he played like somebody who's like scared. What are these kids gonna do? Am I throwing the ball right? Are they looking at me? But now here he's playing knowing that everybody's cheering him on. And I was the parent who would go, especially after he moved here, sit and be cheering the loudest, you know? And so when I cheer, he'd hear my voice, and then the parents would be like, wow, you're your son's biggest fan. So we have to do such things for our children, and also ask our children, something is not right. I know my kids would get upset after I found out what was happening to my oldest daughter. I'd be like, what's going on? They're like, no, I'm just tired. I'm like, no, you're not tired. You tell me they're like, mommy, everybody doesn't have depression. I'm fine. I'm like, no, there's something bothering you. And I'll keep at it and keep at it. And then they'll mention maybe just one little thing that happened at school. I'm like, see, I knew something was wrong, because we know our parents the best. So don't be afraid as parents to go out and talk to your kids. Like, just push them and say, I know something is not right. Tell me. One day when I was a teenager, I was feeling like that. And I know I was feeling like that. And you start talking to them and they open up. Anybody else? Any kids, anybody, adults who has a question for Justin? If nobody has a question, one thing that Justin, that you mentioned. Oh, sure. Yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Justin, I just wanted to say, I mean, I'm just going to keep it short. Whatever you just said to all of us was straight up inspirational. And just keep doing the good work that you're doing. And you're going to be changing a lot of lives this way. I mean, I know I'm just a kid, but still, you're changing a lot of lives this way. And thank you for that.
Hey, all words matter, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Yeah. Oh, and Michelle has a hand up. And then David. Hi, Michelle.
I like your thing. I like how you talked about those things, and I like it.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
See, you touched even a 7-year-old. Yeah. Go ahead, David.
I have a question. Do you feel that the reason that you had like depression is because of bullying, or maybe a way your father reacted to you? Or do you think that you were born and you had this thing?
You know, I think there was a lot of things. Sorry. There was a lot of things. I was behind my friends in sports. All my friends that I hung out with, they were all better than me. I was small. I'm 6'3", 235 now. But I was tiny back then. I kind of got picked on too, not in a different way. Like my nickname was Gay in high school. I acted out. I was high, like I had ADHD. Like I acted out a lot. Like I would get good grades, but I was on my report card, it said I had bubbly nature. I'd get kicked out of class because I wouldn't stop talking. And I think a lot of it is, you know what I did. I don't think I had really good parents, but they didn't understand it. Why was I getting in trouble? Why did I feel the way I did? Why was I acting the way I did as well? Like I had a good upbringing. I mean, my parents were broken up, but I didn't have a bad upbringing, physical abuse or anything like that. It's, I truly believed everybody else was better than me. And once you start to not like yourself, it's very hard to get out of that mindset. So when I was going through everything I was going through, I thought I deserved it.
Okay.
That's sad, because it's not just your parents who didn't know about it. I remember like growing up, I was born in Kenya, and I moved to the United States 26 years ago. But when I was growing up in Kenya, so many kids were punished by the teacher because they were considered they're naughty kids, or they're crazy, they're disturbing everybody in class. And maybe that child was really maybe struggling with ADD, or maybe that person was maybe depressed or maybe feeling, like, or maybe a slow learner or somebody who can't really grasp things at the go. And now when I moved here and I started realizing all these things, I was like, we have to make this thing global. We have to also involve like kids in the country where I grew up, because so many teachers get frustrated because one child who's acting up can disrupt the whole class. But they don't, then they send the kid, okay, go to the principal's office or go home. So this kid who's really interested in learning, but mentally they're not really there, miss out on so much. And then they're labeled that bad kid. They go home, the mom spanks them, what's wrong with you? You're being bad in school. And then these kids get so frustrated, like feeling rejected by the whole society, like nobody truly understands them. So we try to bring the voice of our child into the Kenyan schools to help the teacher, where we are like, tell us that kid, the teachers know the kids better sometimes than the parents. Just point to us that kid who is maybe disrupting the class or seems like they're always giving you trouble. And we go and talk to the child and really find out exactly what is happening. We talk to the bus drivers who pick these kids from their homes. We talk to the teachers, the guy who helps the kid cross the street, because sometimes the bus driver, when he picks these kids, he might notice a kid at the back, maybe who's always quiet or fighting or something, They need to know signs and symptoms of depression and mental illness, how to seek for help for these children. Otherwise, it's almost like the world has no regard for people who struggle with depression. Like the world is not made for people who are depressed. The world is made for perfect people who think right and are so straight. And after I found out, I was like, I feel sorry for people who struggle with depression. I'm like, my God, they're supposed to wake up just like us, do everything we're supposed to do. What about the days that they're struggling? What about the days that they don't feel like getting out of bed? I think that bosses, CEOs of companies should let their staff be able to really openly talk about what they struggle with. That way, if your employee is struggling with some work, or is late that day, or doesn't seem to be focusing, at least you know what they're struggling with. But people have been fired from jobs or demoted just because nobody knows that they struggle with depression. They're expected to be up and up like everybody else. And the one thing too that I also wanted to say, Justin, when you said that how companies are using so much money to advertise like for alcohol and drugs, I don't think the world, and maybe America because I live here, is ready to hear that there are people who are depressed. They look at them at that those are the weaker people. Why do I say that? If I go to my website or my YouTube page, there are words you're not supposed to use. Suicide, teen depression, things like that. There are words that they'll tell you, oh, you can't use such words. Why? Because they think that if I put that word, I'm putting this word into kids' minds. So then you're thinking, oh, so you just want to ignore it? You don't want to say that these kids are struggling? It is such a shame. The social media does not want you to talk about depression. The other day, actually, there was a contestant, I don't know what pageant system she was competing in. Her platform was teen depression and suicide. And they told her, no, you can't use that as you're not going to go on stage and talk about teen depression and suicide. She's like, why? We have kids in the audience. What? These kids as young as 9 years old committing suicide. I'm sure kids even as younger will probably do it. Maybe they just don't know how to do it, but they're struggling. So as a society, we need to accept that depressed people and people who don't have depression, we are all equal. When you talk about all being equal, we're including those people as well. We're including even kids who have autism. We're including everybody. And we can not say we're not going to mention those words because we don't want to put these ideas into kids' minds. I think everybody needs to be educated about what mental illness is and how many people are struggling. I have presented at House of Senate in Pennsylvania, and I have senators who came up to me and says, thank you so much for your platform when I was competing as Mrs. Pennsylvania, because they said, I suffer from depression, but I've never told anybody. And I'm like, why? They're like, I'm just so afraid of how they'll judge me. But when you talked about it, it just made sense. I've talked in a room like full of 1,000 people and who had never ever told anybody they were depressed. And by the time I'm done talking, they're standing up saying that they're depressed, because I'm like, I think depression is actually a disease for really smart people. And who do we think we are? Oh, that person is depressed or they're crazy. they didn't choose to be born that way. And mental illness is something that the stigma has to be totally removed. And everybody should be able to share those words on social media about teen depression and suicide. All these companies that are using so much money to promote alcohol and drugs, if you can show a movie of kids smoking and drinking as a movie, it's on Netflix, it's everywhere. Anybody can go there. Before it wasn't PG-13 where you couldn't just go to the movies. Now kids are watching these movies at home. So they're thinking, oh, those kids are smoking and drinking, and they seem to be so happy. Our kids think that that's what they need to be happy. If you're showing that and you don't want me to talk about depression and suicide, it is so wrong. I think the government should be more invested in promoting depression and kids and talk about it from actually 3 years old. These kids should start being told, like sometimes you might feel, scared to go to school or your teacher or things. We need to get it out there. I know a lot of people are shy to say it. Your child, you'll one day find they're not there and you will regret why you never, ever talk to them about mental illness and depression. So Justin, when you talked about it and you are so raw about it, you definitely connected with so many people. And I hope that a lot of people are watching, because mental illness and depression is something that should be addressed. And that just gives me so much hope with the voice of our child that we are changing one life. If I can save one kid's life, I'm okay with it. If I can educate just one parent that it's okay to ask your children if they're depressed, I could die happy. We need more people talking about this depression, mental illness than ever before.
One thing I learned in, when I did my coaching certification, what stuck out is all behavior makes perfect sense. And it does. There's a reason why they're acting the way they are. There's a reason why they feel the way they are. And don't take everything personally, because you don't know what that person's struggling with. Exactly. I was lucky when I was working that my work said, hey, listen, they would talk to me. You need to take some time off. And I was in a union, so I got on benefits so I could go get help. They helped me pay for psychiatry. So I was psychologist. I was very lucky that way. But when it comes to talking to your children, so me and my son like to do affirmations together. So we say, I am strong, I am smart, I am kind, I will help others, I matter, I love myself, and I love my family. So I like to introduce, he's only 5. We started doing that when he was 3. We started to introduce gratitude, and I'll just ask him randomly, hey man, what are you grateful for today? And it's getting them to, they need to experience life. However, we can teach them along the way.
For sure. Thank you. All right. So if we don't have any question, I think it was a great session, and we truly thank you. And it's just so good to see so many of our friends here. And I mean, this is a subject that we have to keep talking about. And kids, definitely talk to somebody. There's no shame in what you're feeling. There's no shame in saying, this is how I feel and I need help. If you can't talk to your parent, talk to your teacher, talk to an adult who you really trust. There's no judgment. Probably your parents went through depression, and that's why you probably have the depression. Probably a boy or a girl broke up with you and you think it's the end of the world. Oh my goodness, if I could tell you how many guys broke up with me, and now I look at it and I'm glad that they did, you would never care if somebody broke up with you. For the boys, if there's a girlfriend that's breaking up with you, oh my goodness. I have told even my son, I said, oh my goodness, the world, the beautiful ones are not yet born. When you finally meet the person you're meant to be, you'll be like, oh my goodness, like, what was I so worried about? If you're failing in school, we probably failed. And parents, let's really be realistic with our children. If your kid starts drinking and you're like scolding them, like, what's wrong with you? And you're crazy, and you know yourself that you struggle with alcohol at their age, you're doing your child disservice. Your child starts thinking there's something definitely wrong with me. They probably inherited it from you. So talk to them, when I was your age, I really struggled too. And what I can tell you is that this is where it's going to lead you to. So your kid feels, oh, my dad can relate to me, or my mom can relate to me. Let's talk to your children. If they're failing in school, tell them all the many times you got a 0. And tell them, you know what, I'm actually impressed that you actually get a 10%, because I never did good in that, but there's help. I could coach you, I could do this, because if I had put more effort and told my teachers or my parents that I was concerned that I was getting this, maybe they would have gotten me a tutor, or somebody would have made me understand what's going on, and maybe I'd even have a better job than what I have now. Let's be vulnerable to our children and tell them all those things they're suffering from. I'm sure if it's not you or your husband, it's maybe their grandmother or their grandfather or an aunt or somebody. Don't ever make them feel that they're making these mistakes and they should be perfect because you are perfect. None of us is perfect, kids. Do not think we are perfect. Sometimes I'm impressed at how good my kids are knowing who I was. So don't ever feel that you're putting your parents to shame. Sometimes your parents are looking at you and going like, oh my God, I'm glad they didn't turn up like me. So don't ever be afraid to tell them what you're going through.
Well, like Glenn Marsden would say, everyone's imperfectly perfect.
Oh my God, I know. And I have to thank, I was gonna now do the final thing where I was gonna say where I met you from, and that's from our mutual friend, Glenn Marsden, who's taking America by storm as an executive celebrity coach and the founder of Imperfectly Perfect, and who was also a guest here. Our kids got to meet him, but I tell everybody needs a Glenn in their life just to get them out of that, feeling like, oh, because I'm imperfect, I can't make it. You have to see the perfection in you, Imperfectly Perfect. And I'm so glad that he introduced me to you, Justin, because you really did change so many lives today. And if nobody has a question, I know we ran a little bit late today. We kept you too long. And we apologize, Justin, but we needed, what you needed to tell us. So if anybody out there watching would like to get involved with what you're doing, this is not a private group. We just make it private because when we send you a link, we don't expect you to share with the public because we have to be careful as a kids program that we don't want hackers. But if you want to be part, to include your kids in this, or you to also be involved, just write to us at voiceofourchild@gmail.com. or go to our website at voiceofourchild.org and subscribe, and we can have you here with your children. We'll send you the link to be able to be here. If not, you can always watch us live on Facebook at 11:30. We use that first hour from 10:30 to 11:30 just to make it private. We don't do it live because we want these kids to talk to us. They have a question of the day. Like today, our guests got to hear about these kids and what they know about depression and all those things. And then when we go live, we present our speaker to you. So if you'd like your child to get involved with these kids, I know so many parents tell me, oh, my kid has been on Zoom the whole week. Saturday is their day to rest. The Zooms that they have every week is learning. They are learning from their teachers and their children. On Zoom, they're learning with kids their age from all over the world and hearing a speaker like Justin talking to them about things that you probably a teacher would be even maybe like, oh, I don't want to talk about the alcohol. I don't want to use the bottle. Like people are like, oh, so what do you mean that he found love at the end of a bottle? Is that like alcohol? Like you're going to be talking about it? I said, oh, yes. Kids are drinking very young age. You probably go look at probably where you put all your drinks. You think you have teenagers in the house and young kids. Probably one is helping themselves. Why are we so afraid to talk about it? I'm not afraid to talk about it. I want these kids to know those dangers, but we try to protect our kids, but sometimes these kids know more than we do. So let's really be careful about that. And if you'd like to feature your story here, just write to us and we will tell you the requirements to be a guest here. And thank you again, Justin, so much. Thank you everybody for always showing up. Oh, Andrea, it's so good to see you. You are so quiet today. I love when you speak. You always have something good, but I know there are those days you're just like, let me listen. But
no, there's so much. I just want to say, Justin, thank you so much. Just to give a little background, I just didn't want to get too long-winded because there's so much inside of me. This is a topic that can literally bring you anxiety if you've seen it, if you've experienced it. And with a pandemic that we're still fighting through, globally, depression is like a buzzword everywhere. I have a 10-year-old. We have been having a lot of serious conversations. She is from the Bronx. I recently, like I told you, moved to Virginia, and we lived in the South Bronx, a really underprivileged area. And unfortunately, many times we would walk by people who were severely drug addicted, and they were out in the open on the streets. And I think more so than me talking, seeing it, I'm sure my daughter could see the reasons, many reasons to stay away from drugs, alcohol. Not to say that, you know, as she gets older, because she's only 10 now, and the high school years will probably be creeping up sooner than I would want to. My husband and I, we talk to her often, and we let her know many times, talk to us, because the thing is, if you start talking to your friends that are in your age group, chances are they know just as much as you, or as little, or less. And so we know, we've been there, we walk the walk, and we're talking to you because we already know we're not going to be with you 24/7. So we're telling you what you're going to experience ahead of time, so you know exactly, you know, what tools you already have in your toolbox, and we give it to her straight up, you know. And what Justin did, like you said, is put a face to, you know, depression attacks many of us. Like right now I'm shaking because I'm thinking of, like, this world has so much facade, to be honest with you. And I think that's pretty much what resonates every time I have a conversation, be it with my students that were coming. Like I told you, I used to teach formerly incarcerated young adults to older adults, and many of them had, you know, addictions in many forms. And, you know, it was an eye-opening experience, even though I'm, you know, I grew up in the South Bronx, and I've seen, you know, so many things, many of them negative. But coming from a Caribbean background, Caribbean parents that were very focused on positive things, and instill that in my brother and myself, I'm grateful today. And so it's the same thing with my daughter. I want her to know, listen, we don't have to have a lot of money to be blessed, and knowledge is a blessing. Knowledge is power. And but getting back to the facade thing, I think that's the overall talk here. Like, the world is filled with so many facades. Television, like you said, is one form of media that lies point blank, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, if we don't start talking about the truth, that's exactly what it is. We have truth, we have lies. And the thing is, the truth is, and I'm going to take it to a faith-based approach. In church, they say that, you know, the enemy, you know, he only attacks what's valuable. And what does he use? He's the father of lies. And like Justin was saying, the record that plays over and over in your head, and the fact that he believed many of the lies, he grabbed onto the lies. And many of us do that because we live in such a cynical, fallen world that we gravitate to the negative. We take in the negative, and then what's the end result, right? Whatever we put in, we get back out, right? So if we were to kind of hold on to the people that told us the truth, that we were, even if it was just that one person that was like, yo, you know, I really like the way you play ball. Like, why didn't we gravitate to that compliment as opposed to all the negatives? You know, you're really not that great of a ball player. You're really not that great. But Satan only attacks what's most valuable. That's what we're taught in church, but it's the truth about the world. Sometimes our enemies come in different forms. He may not have red horns or a pitchfork, but, you know, you've got many a times more enemies, like in the case when you shared with Alexander. He was good, but he held on to the negative beliefs. But the thing is, sometimes you're being attacked because you actually are that good. You're more valuable than what you think. And the enemy attacks what's most valuable. And so that's the truth that many people don't want to gravitate onto. And if we were to just hold on to the truth, and kind of, if we can slowly but surely separate from the people and things that bring us down, right, and gravitate more to what is positive, what would be the outcome then? Taking good, we get out good. Taking bad, you get out bad. And constantly asking yourself, like, what am I doing? You know, if I'm listening to the negative, what's been the output? What's been the outcome more times than not? Like self-reflection. But what Justin shared is very important. And like I said, working with young adults, I've seen, you know, depression in many forms, and it looks different sometimes on different people. But if you listen carefully, you'll hear certain keywords. You know, I just, if somebody had said to me, you know, how are you feeling? Even if it was just once, it would have made a difference. I heard that many times from my students. Even me, some days I wish, you know, maybe a colleague or two, how are you feeling today? We're all just kind of like going through and trying to, you know, get through the day, and we're leading others. So we have to kind of like be strong. But the truth is, sometimes we need a mental health moment ourselves with our students. And many a times I'm big on that. I'm like, listen, Ms. Jones is not teaching today. We're going to sit and we're going to talk for a little bit before we actually get into the work, because I can't do anything else until I really reach the people who I'm talking to. And like I said, if they're coming from jail, if they're coming from prison, there's so much more they're bringing into the classroom every day. So we would often have those mental health check moments. And just as Miss Carolyn said, you know what, we need to be talking more about it. Silence is deafening. It can drive you to death. And I think, unfortunately, many a times our young men are taught, hold it inside, don't bring it out, don't cry, suck it up, you know? And that didn't work. It hasn't worked ever, like ever, you know? But I think the talking is key. It really, really helps. And if you don't know what to say, all I can do is just listen. I can, you know, and it helps, you know? And I'm kind of rambling at this point, but thank you for listening.
No, you're not. You're doing so great. I'm like, please don't stop.
No,
you're not. Yes.
It's been great. And you know what, Justin, we say this in church, but it's a true fact. They say a lot of the times our life, we go through things, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else. And it's kind of like what you've been speaking to, your why. And, you know, I typed in the chat that if we have purpose, or if you're still not sure what your purpose is, you can be my age. I'm 40, I'll be 41. Sometimes you feel like you haven't really quite pieced it all together, but we're all looking for purpose. That's what it is. A lot of the times you just, with purpose, you have direction. You kind of have a sense of where you're going. You may not always know what you don't like, but you know what, I mean, you may not always know what you like, but you can always tell what you don't like if you've already experienced enough of the negative, you know? I'm not sure where I'm going, but I know I don't want to go there again. You know what I mean? And it kind of brings you back on a track, you know, on a path. And life is really not straight. It's not one, it's hills, it's valleys, it's peaks, it's this, that, and the other. And it's an opportunity for, just like Justin was saying, you know, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. And it took him, I think 2-3 chances, he said, till he finally figured out, like, all right, I think I can move forward this time and get past, you know, where I was able to get past last time. I can move a little bit further, until one day he kept on going. It was like putting one foot in front of the other. And I think a lot of the times that's how we crawl out of the pit, right? One pull.
Yeah, one
little by little. It's not going to happen overnight. That's a lie too, that people believe, oh, you snap your fingers, all the problems are gone. No, life is about challenges and then overcoming those challenges every single day of our lives until we're called home. You know?
That is so true. I mean, you said it very well. And also one thing that I thought about when you were talking, and what Justin had said is, like, kids, when you look at your parents, yes, you see we are strong, it's your mom and dad, but maybe your parent is struggling more than you'd ever know.
Absolutely.
Maybe all those fears and things you have, your parent is probably struggling with those too.
Absolutely.
Maybe your parents is like, come on, go there. Come on, go to the front. Come on, go say this. But your parent will probably not even stand there themselves. They have that fear. They're trying to live through you and get that strength from you, but maybe they're suffering as much as you're suffering. So what kids do, you can always ask your mom and dad, or any adult that you're close with, that you interact with closely, you don't look happy today, like what's going on? And they might say, oh, nothing. And no, you, mommy or daddy, you don't, something is bothering you. You could talk to me, you know, and I'm telling you, you'd be surprised by the things that your parents could share with you. So that's very well said, Andrea. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right, Justin, if you could share your social media at the chat. I think John, somebody asked, we normally have our guests share their link in case you'd like these kids to maybe reach out to you and ask you a question, or your social media or your email. We've always had our kids really try to follow up with our guests, and I think that would be awesome if you could present yourself that way to them.
Okay, did it come up?
Yes, it did.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin. Thank you, everybody. And this was a really beautiful Saturday. And bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. See ya. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye, John. Bye. Bye, Rosemary. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Let me just get this out of live. Hold on. What did you want to say?
Who, me?
Yeah, are you saying something or no?
Saying bye-bye, but
okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye, David. Bye. Yeah, bye-bye.